Hello and welcome to my channel, On the Hook Crochet, where we talk about wearable crochet style. Today we're talking about crochet, and let's find out what's on the hook, what's been on the hook, and then we'll talk about a little bit of embroidery, and then we'll also talk about a little bit of sewing that I've been doing. So let's get started. First of all, I want to talk about the Memorial Day. I want to talk about a Memorial Day. You had Memorial Day Monday, and so did I, and it was quite wonderful. We didn't do anything special, but we did remember our family members that have been in the military, and I had my little flags up, and I did a video, and I hope you enjoyed that. It wasn't real long about Memorial Day, but a lot of you commented back to me and said that you had relatives who were in the military, some who had passed on, and some who died in the war. There were lots of wonderful comments, and I did read all those, and I appreciate it when you write to me and tell me your family stories and also the projects that you're working on. I love to hear about the projects you're working on because I'm working on projects and I'm always giving to you, but it's fun to read your comments when you talk back to me. I think it's wonderful. I really appreciate each and every comment. Now, if you haven't subscribed, be sure to do that and like this video if it's worth something to you. I hope you enjoy it. I'm going to move along and try to be organized. Okay, first of all, I am wearing the top that I promised that I would wear on Monday. And this is the Cotton Fair Sunshine Day top. And it's made by the pattern, the America Tank. I'll put that up there where you can see it. This is the tank top that I created last year. I designed it for Cotton Fair yarn. You can make it out of anything you want. I have seen several photos of ladies who have made this for themselves, and it's so beautiful. There's so many different colors and types of yarn that you can use for this particular top, and all my tops. You can use any kind of yarn you want, any size hook you want, and make it the size that you want. That's the focus of my pattern. So if you've been watching me very long, you know that that's how I work. My focus is to create patterns for you so you can create a beautiful design that will fit you perfectly, that you won't have to adjust for somebody else's size. You make it to your size, and it's 99% successful. I've not had anybody write me and say they didn't do well. Now, some people have said, I'm going to make a second sweater and I'm going to make it shorter, longer, bigger, wider, longer sleeves, different neck, whatever it is, or a different pattern. But at least you are trying, and it took me many sweaters to get to where I am today, where I can make, basically I can make a sweater to fit me and not even try it on all that many times. Now I do always put it up to myself, make sure that it's the right length, especially from here to here, because I'm very short here and I'm very short up above my waist. My waist is here and my bust line is there. Very short person. I'm kind of a what they call a petite, but petite doesn't always mean small. It just means short. In my case, I'm basically a shortish person. I'm 5'4", and I used to be a little taller, but now that I've gotten older, I've shrunk just a little bit, and I have to adjust my crochet to be sure that it's not too long or too sloppy looking on me. I like shorter sweaters now that I've lost a little bit of weight. It's kind of nice, but I still like longer sweaters. I like a variety of different things. And as you know, if you look through my Etsy shop, you'll see all different patterns, different lengths, different types. And I try to cover all my bases with that. One thing I have not done is a top-down sweater. I have tried it. I have worked on it. I have started 2 sweaters. If you follow me on Instagram, I'm On the Hook Crochet on Instagram, and you're welcome to follow me. It's kind of fun. I put a lot of pictures out there that you don't see on YouTube. Be sure to go out there and click it. It's free. You don't have to do anything. And it's kind of fun. I don't post every single moment of my life. I'm not going to do that. But when I make significant progress, or I find something in a store, or I'm working on something and it seems to be something you might be interested in, I think you might be interested in, I'll put it on my Instagram feed, and usually I try to touch on it in my YouTube channel as well, so you don't miss anything. But anyway, I just wanted to tell you that this sweater that I'm wearing is made from Cotton Fair. Sunshine Day is the colorway, and Crystal had it on Monday, and I was wearing my America Tank. So I made this by the America Tank pattern, and it's kind of a loose representation because I made these sleeves, short sleeves, and on Crystal you couldn't really tell because Crystal doesn't have any arms. Sorry, Crystal, but she didn't have any arms. So I just drape things over her, and they're very lovely, but you can't really see where the sleeves are on her. So I wanted to try this on and show it to you. I made it as promised with short sleeves halfway down to my elbow. They're very comfortable. They're not extremely fitted, and they're not the big sleeves that I designed on the picnic time sweater. And I had a lot of people like that. I'm excited because it was something a little bit different. And if you make it out of the right yarn, a cotton yarn, maybe a cotton and acrylic, it's very, very comfortable. And I really like that sweater. I have worn it quite a bit, even since I designed it last year and didn't write the pattern. So I'm glad I have the pattern out there, and y'all seem to be really enjoying that. So I wanted to contrast that sleeve to this sleeve and to the America Tank sleeve, which is more of a tank. It's a tank. There's no extra sleeve on there except 3 or 4 little rows of single crochet I think I put on there just to give it a nice finish. But on this sweater, I actually added a sleeve to it. And what I did was I seamed under the arm, okay, and I left the opening as big as I wanted. And it was about an 8-inch opening, maybe 7.5. For me, that's a little bit loose. A 7-inch opening, well, I mean from the shoulder to the underarm. That's the measurement I'm talking about. A 7-inch opening for me is a fairly fitted sweater sleeve like the Golden Cross. That was even smaller than that. I think I measured it out as 6.5 maybe, or 7. And you'll get to know this measurement. If you make enough sweaters, you will know that's an 8-inch opening for me. But always try it on, which I always do. Always hold the 2 pieces together at the top, either putting a stitch marker along the shoulder seam or just holding it there and letting it drape. Make sure that it's the right length for first of all, and then to grab the 2 pieces together. It's what I do. I reach around while I'm holding the shoulder. I grab the 2 pieces together and I see where the pieces should start the seam, where I should start the seam under the sleeves. So that is sewn down to the bottom of the sweater. And then on this particular sweater, I worked around in a circle, and I didn't increase or decrease. I just made 43 stitches around, which in your case will be different. I'm sure it will be different, larger, smaller, whatever. But be sure to count those stitches when you crochet that first row. That's right here. It's right there. So what I did was I added 4 rows of double crochet, just like the body of the sweater, and then I added another 3 rows of single crochet at the bottom of that. And that gave my sleeve the right length. And of course, try it on, hold it up to you, make sure that the sleeve's long enough, and then just put your single crochets on. And they only add about a little over 1/2 inch. So if you stop your sleeve right about where you want it, then when you add the single crochets, it doesn't add that much length to your sleeve, maybe a 1/2 inch. So that's how these sleeves were created, in a circle, traveling around in a circle, like I did for the America Tank. The Busy Bee top, and Crystal's going to model that today just really quickly. The Busy Bee top is one of my favorites, of course, and she's worn this quite a bit, and so have I. It's just so comfortable. But I wanted to show you something about the sleeves on this one. The sleeves are created with the front and back laid out flat, right sides up, with the shoulder seams already seamed up. So you attach the front to the back at the shoulders, lay it out flat on your table, and then measure from one side of the armhole to the other side of the armhole, which when it's laid out flat will be a measurement of about 14 to 16, 17 inches, which is twice the measurement from your shoulder to your underarm where it's comfortable. If for example, if I was doing an 8-inch measurement from my shoulder seam to the underarm, that would be a 16-inch opening. And so when I lay the fabric out, I would measure 8 inches on each side of the shoulder, and it would be flat. So it would be 16 inches from one end to the other. It would be 8 inches onto the front fabric and 8 inches onto the back fabric along the armhole edge. You mark that with a stitch marker. Mark your shoulder seam, of course, because you need to know where the center point is. And then you can crochet your sleeve onto the flat fabric on the right side. And that's what I did with the Busy Bee top, and that's in the pattern, explains all that to you. But here I did probably 10 or 15 rows, and then I only put 1 row of single crochet at the bottom. So these are totally adjustable. You can do whatever you want to, as long as you follow the basic pattern and you have your own measurements. You can make these to fit you. Now I put a lot of ease in this one. I put probably 8 inches of ease in this, or maybe more, maybe 10 or 16, I don't know how many. I probably told you that because I measured it on Monday or last Friday. I sound like I'm confused. I'm not really. I'm not really confused, but I can't remember when I told you that. But there's a lot of ease in this particular sweater, and so that makes the side seam come over farther under the arm, of course. And so your measurement here might be a little bit farther down your arm. It might be right around here instead of at the shoulder seam. But I have found that if you measure from the shoulder seam to the underarm, you have a really good measurement there, and it should fit you just fine if you create your sleeve in that measurement. So I walk you through that in the pattern, and it's pretty easy. I just wanted to give you a quick rundown about the sleeves that I created in this America Tank short sleeve version and the Busy Bee top, which is, you know, this is kind of a different pattern. It's not created the same as this one. So I wanted to show you that, and I hope you enjoyed that little lesson. I try not to be too much of a teacher in these videos, but y'all seem to appreciate it. If you were writing down, if you have the America Tank, you can just grab your pattern, and if you want to I just write short sleeves, add 4 rows of double crochet, 3 rows of single crochet at the underarm in a circle, and that's all you have to write on there. And you'll know when you get to that point, you'll know how to make those short sleeves. Moving on in the crochet portion of my show, I wanted to show you one of my WIPs that I'm working on, and I've had a lot of people. I had actually showed this on my Instagram. So this is the raspberry colored. It's called Ruby, actually. This is the Ruby yarn, the sparkle yarn that came from Knit Crate, and it's Sugar Sport. If you're looking to find it, it's on their website. I saw it yesterday. I'm tempted to buy another hank of the diamond color because I really want to make a winter sweater out of that. So I might jump on and grab one of those hanks in the gray, or it's the diamond color, and then I also might grab 4 hanks of the purple color. It's so color saturated, just like this. This is so deep of a color. I really, really like it. I love this deep color. So I'm making this basically like the America Tank, I think. I might even put some short sleeves in it now that I've done it. I like the look of this sweater. It's not extremely long, so it won't take that long to make it. This sweater is so comfortable. I have on a tank top under it, but I believe I could get away with it without a tank top. It's crocheted close enough. Now, this one I used an eye hook, and the stitches are pretty close together. I don't think it's going to be a problem wearing this without a tank top, but even if it was, it's made out of wool, so you know it's not meant for a 100-degree weather day. But I've actually been in contact with somebody who knits wool sweaters for the summertime, and they told me that wool in the summer is okay. What happens is if you combine it with silk or cotton or something, or not really nylon, but those two, silk and cotton, or cotton, that the sweater remains cool on your body. And I also had them tell me that in the wintertime, when you make a wool sweater and you put it on and it seems a little bit, not scratchy, but a little bit rough, if you wear it for about an hour, your body heat heats up that wool and it softens the wool. And I actually found this the other day. I wore my summer essentials around. I was running some errands, and I threw it on, and it's a wool fingering, made from wool fingering yarn, wool and nylon actually. And after about an hour, I noticed it was a little bit softer. It was very comfortable. When I first put it on, I thought, I don't know if I'll be able to make this all the way through the day because I might get hot. But honestly, it was not hot. All I needed was a little bit of air around me, but it actually softened up. So I think they're right. These girls that have been knitting for years and years, There's a reason that they use wool to knit all their sweaters from, even their summer sweaters. I've seen some beautiful summer sweaters knitted in wool, and they put them on and wear them. So, and I think it's pretty hot up north too, so I don't think that's an issue. I think it's just understanding how wool works, because it's a natural fabric. After you crochet it or you knit it, it's a natural fabric. So those are always the best. As you know, if you use a cotton or a wool or a silk, they're all natural fabrics when you crochet or knit them. My second WIP, I have 4 WIPs going. I have my black bamboo top sweater. I have my ruby colored knit crate sweater. I have a long sleeve Audine wool sweater Glenda Winkleman is sponsoring. And the 4th WIP is my wool summer sweater in gray and yellow. And if you've been on my channel much, you will have seen that. Pretty sweater. I'm still working on that. But I came across this WIP that I had last year. It's in one of Joe's bags, one of Joe Tote's bags. Everybody loved this bag, I guess because of the colors. I love black and red together. And a beautiful medallion on the front. Joe's on vacation, that's why you haven't seen any of her videos, but I'm sure when she gets back she'll shoot me a video and we'll put it on the next on the hook crochet video. But I found this in my WIPs from last year, and I had put it away and I couldn't find it anywhere. I knew that it was around, so what I did was I put it in an official project bag. And I would love to work on this for summer. This is 100% acrylic, and if you've been watching me anytime, you'll know, you will remember this. This is the Beautiful You. Let me see if I can get it up there. Beautiful You by Lion Brand. It's 100% acrylic, and look at that yarn. It is so beautifully twisted. I think that gives it such good stiff definition. I really like it. And so I did a sample last year and I put it right away and didn't do any more with it. But I've noticed it really feels good. It's very comfortable on. I haven't tried it on yet because it's too small. But it is very comfortable to the feet. It feels really good when you rub your hand across it. And that's kind of my gauge to know if something's going to be able to be useful in my closet or not. I need to be comfortable in it. But this is very comfortable yarn. I think I'm going to like it. I would like to put in some work on it. I believe that was done with an I hook or an H hook. It's not a G hook. I would never start anything with a G hook this big, but I have 3 skeins of this, and I should be able to make a sweater from it. Let me see how many. There are 326 yards on each one, so I have nearly 1,000 yards. I'm probably good for a summer sweater in that. I might make one with short sleeves so that I can wear it more places. That's a WIP that I would like to put some work in on, along with this and maybe a couple of others right now, and then moving. The bamboo pop needs to be at the top of my list, but it's not as much fun to work with because it's black, and I have to really shoot some light on it in order to see what I'm doing. So that's another project, you know, that I have to do at certain times. Now, that is enough about crochet. I've been working on some embroidery, and I know y'all have been following me, and I've not received one negative comment about adding this to my channel. I know it's on the Hook Crochet channel, but we also do lots of other crafts, and I know y'all, as my subscribers and my viewers, have talked about it at length, that you've done embroidery, cross stitch, crewel, freehand embroidery, stamped embroidery, all kinds of embroidery. And I thought, well, I'm just going to continue with my 2 little projects here. One thing that I did was last month I ordered this kit, and okay, this is the 10th time you've seen it. It's really cute. It's called a Le Jardin Sampler, and it has lots of different stitches in it and little pictures. They're not really difficult to do, and I put in a lot of work on this the other day, and I still have a ways to go. I thought I could whip it up and finish it in no time, but there are so many different stitches, and the color changes are constant. Now, I have used a lot of thread. I've used quite a bit of thread, and I actually ran out of one yesterday, but I had just enough to finish the last stitch. I couldn't believe it. So I was very lucky yesterday to finish that, but that particular color. But here's what I've done so far, and I'll hold this up so you can see it because it's kind of small. Actually, the the embroidery is pretty big, actually, and it'll be nice on my wall. I'm planning to get this framed, or I'll frame it myself. So I've done all of the squares now, all of the outlines of the squares. They're all done in different colors. As you can see, I have finished that finally. I kept finding little places where I hadn't finished it. And look at that up there. I still have one left. I just noticed this when I had the light behind it. I should have done that. Well, I'll have to whip that up today. But I did get the words done, the Le Jardin word. This was all back stitched. I wanted to get that done because that's the name of the sampler. So I thought I'm just going to go ahead and do that. I've done a lot of my satin stitching. There's some white satin stitching that will be outlined. And just several things that I've finished. The little word here called fleur. And that's the word for flower, of course. And then some more satin. And I had the bird done. I'm just working my way through it. And it's kind of fun to sit down with it. I don't sit down with it every single day. But I did some of the French knotting too, right here and there. And I have a little bit more to do there. French knots came right back to me. My mother made me make thousands of French knots to get them right. And they're all consistently sized the same. If you can see that, I know that's hard to see, but they're all sized the same. And I put them exactly on the little dots, but some of the dots seem like they're, well, it's just it's a flower, so they're not going to be all lined up. And it came right back to me, the French knots, and I was so glad that she had taught me how to do all that. She wanted me to learn all the home arts, and I'm so glad that she insisted that I learn those, because now they're coming back and they're very wonderful to have. So that's the progress that I've made on my sampler. Second of all, y'all know that I ordered this kit, and we've all talked about it 100 times. This is called Lost No More, and it's a Dimensions kit, gold collection. Very, very nice. I like it. I have, let me put that up there where you can actually see it. That's no way to do it. I need to show it to you. It's a very pretty picture, and I like that. Now, one thing I will say is that I'm in a quandary about the fabric, and a lot of y'all have given me some great suggestions, and I've looked into every single one. I really have. What I did was I took the fabric that I bought at Joann's last week, 14 count Aida fabric, and this original kit had come with an 18 count tan color fabric, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it because it was so small. And I know 18 is not small for most people, but this is my first foray back into cross stitching, and it's a large project. I wanted to be able to stitch on it and not feel frustrated. So I went and bought the 14 Aida cloth from Joann, and I think I showed that to you in the last. See how big those holes are? And that's okay. I'm not going to be all prissy about it having to be on linen or something. It's on Aida. So I was looking at some YouTube videos, and I realized that a lot of people grid their fabric, and there are two ways you can do this. I found out after I started this project, but the gridding is done with a metallic thread, which I went and bought, and I did some gridding on this 14 count Aida. If you can see that, I did all those rows, and let me tell you, it's a long piece of fabric. I mean, it's way out there. And I did 6 rows of gridding. And when I got to the end of the last row, notice I said last row, the last row that I did, I was off by 1 square. And I couldn't find it anywhere. And finally I came across it, and I thought, you know what? This is a little bit ridiculous, because if it was a small piece, it would be different. But this is a very large project, and I wanted it to be gridded because I know me, and I think I can count to 10 just fine, but I don't want to count to 10 1,000 times a day. I want to count over 1 to have 10 blocks. If y'all are cross stitchers, you know what I mean. After thinking about doing all the vertical gridding, I said, this is ridiculous. And so I went on YouTube and was looking up gridding, and there are actual fabrics that you can buy that are already gridded. So I went on the web and I found some 16 count gridded fabric in kind of a cream color, and I ordered it. It was not cheap, believe me, in the size that I needed. I had to calculate the size that I needed for the larger print, and it was I don't know, 16 by 20 or 20 by 23 with a 3-inch border around the edge. So I had to order quite a bit, and it ended up being about $35 for the fabric. But you know, I would rather spend that much and be able to enjoy the cross stitching and then not be able to see it. And because I've got a lot of other WIPs going on, I don't want it to be such a chore that I just don't want to finish it. So I've ordered that, and I wanted to finish this project before that fabric got here. So that's my goal, to finish this project and not to have to worry about it anymore. I don't want to worry about it anymore. I'm not worried about it, but I mean, I want to finish it so that I can get it up on my wall and enjoy looking at it, and then move on to the next project, which is the Lost No More project. So that's where I am with my embroidery. Now, I did find a whole bunch of needles in a box downstairs, and I think this is probably all the needles I'm going to need. I ended up buying at Joann's the other day one of these things, which is kind of convenient to keep your needles in. I know there are tubes that you can keep them in as well, and that's such a great idea because, you know, you don't want to lose your needles. That's ridiculous when you're looking for a needle. That shouldn't happen. One thing I do need some suggestions on is I like to freehand cross stitch. I do not like to put my cross stitch in a hoop. I don't want to really put it on stretcher frames. I really like to hand stitch, just like embroidery. I really like to cross stitch in hand, they call it. And I wonder if there's a way that I can roll up my fabric, and I'm just guessing I can just roll it up and put some hair clamps on it and keep it in place while I'm working freehand embroidery, because that's how I plan to do it. I don't want to do the stab and grab. I like working on the top of my fabric. That's why I got a little bit larger count fabric, because I wanted to be sure that I could work in hand on top of the fabric. I know that Ada is kind of stiff, and if you have an idea about how I can soften that up without wetting it, because I think when I wet the 18 count that came in the kit, I think it shrank a little bit. I put it in water and I let it dry, and it was still stiff, and it was also smaller. So I don't know, I didn't put it in hot water. I just put it in cool water and left it 15 minutes, you know, gave it a little hoop-de-doo, and I squeezed it carefully. I didn't twist it, and I laid it out to dry, and that didn't really help me too much. So, and the holes were just too small to begin with, but I thought maybe I could soften it up that way. It was a little bit softer, but not too much. So if you have a suggestion as to how I can soften up my Ada without dipping it in water, that would be great, because I'm going to need it to be a little bit soft so that I can stay on top of it and embroider on top, a cross stitch on top of it, because that's how I plan to do it. I don't want to go in and come out the bottom and do all that. I just don't like working like that. Every now and then I'll do that. I also found this thread conversion list. I don't know where I found it, online somewhere. I saw it and I thought, ooh, I'm going to print that, because what this is a conversion from the dimensions colors, which I'm probably going to run out of because I'm using a larger stitch count on my fabric. This is the dimensions color, and it gives you the DMC color and also the anchor color. I guess that's another brand. But the DMC color there is listed. Isn't that great? Because I probably will run out of at least one or two of those. I don't know how many colors I'll run out of. But I have this conversion kit so that I can order the DMC to match it. And also, their customer service at Dimensions said that they would send me any thread that I needed, because I was increasing the size of my stitch count. I did tell them that. So they were very, very kind. Now, on to the sewing part of my video. I was feeling creative yesterday when I went downstairs to my craft room in my sewing room, and I remember seeing my logo fabric that I had ordered. I ordered one that the logo was really, really big, and then I ordered another from another company, and they made it a little bit smaller. My rectangles are about like this, about that small. So I thought, well, I'm going to coordinate that with a fabric that I bought. I don't remember if it was at the quilt shop or Joann's or wherever I bought it. Might have been Joann's. But I found this fabric Isn't that cute? I forgot that I'd had it, and it's actually got a little bling in it. It's got a little bit of a sassy, kind of a sparkly bling to it. And I made the back of one of my vinyl project envelopes with that fabric. And then on the front, I made it with my logo fabric. So I wanted y'all to see that. It turned out real nice. The colors are perfectly coordinated. I put a pink zipper in it. And the logo fabric is on the inside, so that'll probably be covered up by your project, see? But the back is also very pretty. I really like that. It's very girly, and I thought, well, I'm going to make a couple of these. So I made a couple of these. I made a couple. I thought they were kind of cute. And I'm really just experimenting right now. I'm not on there, not out on my Etsy shop. But Monday, I'm going to do something special with this. So be sure to watch Monday. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I plan to have a great weekend. It's going to be beautiful weather, and I plan to work on all my WIPs. I'm hoping to get some work done on, well, at least half of them. You know how that goes. But I'm trying not to start any more projects. That Beautiful You project is probably the only one I'm going to add on to my WIPs. That makes 5 WIPs plus my embroidery and my sewing. So that I've got plenty to do. I hope you have a great weekend. And join me again on Monday to find out what's on the hook.